The introductory music track that you will soon hear was generated by Suno.
You got dreams in your pocket, they glow. A little spark, a little fire, let them show. Every step you take, you're building more. Through every open, unlocked door. Click apply, make your play. Turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care. Able's your future, always there. The road ahead, it twists and bends, but every journey finds its ends. Hold the reins, you've got the power. This is your moment, your finest hour. Click apply, make your play. Turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care. Able's your future, always there. What you see is what you'll make. Every leap is yours to take. Dreams aren't whispers, they're a shout. Able helps you work it out.
Well, welcome everyone listening to the webinar today. For today's audio, the meeting can be accessed using computer audio or by calling in by phone. If you select computer audio, please make sure your speakers are turned on or your headphones are plugged in. If you do not have sound capabilities on your computer or prefer to listen by phone, dial 1-929-205-6099 and the meeting code is 869-4764-3798. The chat has been disabled for attendees. The chat will be used by the host and experts to place resource links referenced during the webinar. So please use the Q&A box to ask your questions. Unless you have need an accommodation, you can go ahead and raise your hand. So today we are joined by Captions First, who is providing real-time captioning, and Interpreter Now, providing American Sign Language interpretation. As a reminder, this webinar is being recorded and you will have access to the PowerPoint slides, this recording and supplemental materials. In some of the slides, there is a direct link to go to a site that will give you more information. You will have access to click on these links in the PDF. To access the ASL interpretation, please click on Interpretation in the menu bar at the bottom of your screen and then select American Sign Language. Please note that there are two interpreters who will switch on and off throughout the presentation. Note, if you do not see the captions after clicking the button, nor see the ASL interpreters on the screen, please alert the host via the Q&A box. To view captions in another language, click the Show Captions CC button in Zoom, then use the arrow next to it to choose your speaking language. And passing it on to you, Jody.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Cheyenne, for covering those housekeeping slides. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Jody Ellis, and I am the director of the Able National Resource Center. And today I will serve as the moderator. Providing a little bit of information about ABLE NRC, we are owned and managed by National Disability Institute, or NDI for short, and we provide all the ABLE information that you would need in one place. We share reliable, objective, and independent information about ABLE, including plan comparisons, best practices, strategies to increase your savings now and into the future. Our mission is to educate, promote, and support the positive impact that ABLE can make on the lives of millions of Americans with disabilities and their families. And today I am joined by an expert, a panel of experts, and you are really in for a treat to learn more about ABLE and to hear input and perspectives from 5 ABLE experts. Scott DeVerona is the Executive Director for Michigan ABLE Program, and Michigan ABLE Program also belongs to an alliance of ABLE programs nationwide. Thomas Hatch is the Operations Manager for the Stable Group of ABLE plans, which includes Ohio State ABLE Plan and others. So together, Scott and Thomas are representing over 30 different active ABLE plans across the country. And Lori Schaller, Financial Empowerment Manager, Kelly Land, Trainer and Technical Assistance Specialist, and Marlene Uliski, Manager of Financial Empowerment, are all my colleagues at NDI, and the 3 are subject matter experts on ABLE, among other areas of expertise. So you can be assured that the answers that you receive are truly from the country's esteemed experts in the ABLE industry. So let's move on to cover some topics that we will be reviewing during the Q&A. Today's session is primarily split into 2 primary focus areas. We will have the first half of the session will be introductory questions, and the second half will be advanced questions. And we've broken those categories of topics into, for introductory, eligibility, comparing and selecting plans, opening an account, and making contributions. The more advanced questions may include qualified disability expenses, managing an account, getting support from others for your ABLE account, saving strategies, and investing. So I have a couple of expectations that I do want to clarify. We are going to be focusing on ABLE-related questions. We won't answer the questions live that are out of the scope of ABLE. Second, if a question is too individualized, it may be answered privately. And then I do want to share, it was on the very first slide in today's deck, but I do want to share a disclaimer that this webinar is provided solely for educational purposes and is not intended as legal guidance or individual counseling. So if we do get questions related to that, we will likely defer those questions that would require other subject matter expertise, such as legal and financial advice or benefits counseling. So with the ground rules covered, let's get started. So on the first slide here, this is just a placeholder for introductory questions. And I do want to share, there were over 100 questions that came in during the registration process. So we have a lot of questions that we can get started with, and giving you time to put some questions in the Q&A box. And I want to share a couple of other tips about using the Q&A box today. One, you have the ability to upvote. So if you also have that question, you can just click on that thumbs up, and then that will just show us that that is a popular question, or more than one person has that question. And you know, if there's too many questions in the Q&A box and we can't get to them all, we will certainly prioritize those that have been upvoted. So we encourage you to use that feature. The other feature that I want to let you know about is that you can add a comment or add on to someone else's question. So if you are seeing a question in Q&A and you're like, Yeah, I have that question. And I would also like to know something else about that question. You can go ahead and make comments and add on to it. And the expert the panelist expert will be able to see that and see both related questions. Um, and then we do encourage you to not put in any personal or identifying information into the Q&A. We want to ensure that your privacy is respected. And if you don't want your name to show in the Q&A, you can also submit your question anonymously. So I think that kind of covers maybe some of the logistics of Q&A. And before we get to the first topic, which is eligibility, I do want to just share a very quick overview about ABLE. ABLE is an acronym for Achieving a Better Life Experience, and it is a savings and an investment account that is designed exclusively for people with disabilities. And ABLE accounts really allow millions of people with disabilities to invest and save money and grow their wealth. So ABLE accounts can help people save money without losing important benefits, invest and grow savings tax-free, pay for qualified disability expenses, and build financial independence. So that's kind of a very quick overview of ABLE that I wanted to start off with. And I will get into some registration questions, but I talked about some of the benefits just now of ABLE, about tax-free growth and the ability to save without it impacting your benefits. And I wanted to ask someone on the panel, and feel free to either raise your hand or someone can choose who wants to answer this. Someone asked, what's the risk to having an ABLE account? So we talk about the benefits, but is there a risk? So is there anyone on the panel that would be willing to kind of answer that first question about what is the risk to having an ABLE account?
Hey, I'm going to try and answer that question. First of all, Jody, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you today. As Jody mentioned, my name is Scott De Verona. I am the executive director of the Michigan ABLE program. You asked a great question about risks. What are the risks to this program? The risks to this program are very similar to any other investment vehicle. There's the possibility that your investment choices may be negative. So there's a possibility in any of our investment options that the stock market could go down, which is why most ABLE plans, including the National ABLE Alliance, offers a number of products that are not in the market. We have a checking account option and we have a money market option that doesn't have that market risk associated to it. So that's one answer to that question.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks so much. I am looking at the questions that are coming into the Q&A, which is fabulous. So please keep them coming. What will happen is a lot of the questions might be an advanced topic, or it might be a topic that we're going to get to later in the webinar. And in that case, your question is going to remain in the Q&A and we will get to it. One of the first topics that we're going to get to on the next slide is eligibility. So if you have questions specifically about eligibility, now would be a great time to enter that question in the Q&A. And during the registration process, there were a handful of questions about eligibility. Someone said, I'm not really sure if I am eligible for this, or please let me know how I would assess whether or not I was eligible. So on this slide, we are sharing the two factors of ABLE eligibility. One is that the disability began before the age of 46, and this was just recently increased in 2026 from before the age of 26 to now before the age of 46. And the second factor is that the disability results in severe functional limitations. So those are the two eligibility factors. And if someone receives SSI or SSDI for that disability that began before the age of 46, you're automatically eligible. But you don't have to receive Social Security or disability benefits to qualify for ABLE. And if that is the case, then you can ask a doctor to sign a statement indicating that you have a qualified disability. So we're going to leave this slide up a little bit longer while we answer some of the other eligibility related questions that came in. One is the reason why this person is not sure if they're eligible to have an ABLE account is because they were receiving treatment before age 46 for a condition, but did not get diagnosed until after the age of 50. And so we just said the disability must have begun before the age of 46. Lori, I don't know if you're able to answer this question or not, but I'm going to start with you, Lori. And if not, we can see if Marlene would like to add in as well. But do you have any advice, Lori, in this particular circumstances of showing that the disability onset was before age 46?
Thank you very much, Jody. So a person who has a condition that began before age 46, whether it's a physical disability or maybe a mental health condition, can ask their present doctor to sign a disability certification indicating that the disability began before age 46. Now, many people had a doctor who is now different um, from who they had at the time that their disability began. So the person can share their story with their present physician. For example, maybe they missed a bunch of school, and then it became evident when the person attended college that something was happening, and the mental health condition was defined after age 46. So the person can ask their present doctor, given that scenario and any proof that they may have, could the doctor sign that disability certification? Marlene, would you like to add a comment?
Yeah, I was going to add a couple of things. Thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Jody. I wanted to stress the points that Jody talked about a little bit earlier and just say that ABLE eligibility is not restricted to those folks who receive a disability-based benefit from Social Security. I just wanted to make that real clear up front. And also, it doesn't even matter if they're working or they're not working. They could be working at an extremely high level, but still have a disability and be ABLE eligible. To be ABLE eligible, you see on the screen on this slide, it says the disability results in severe functional limitations. And what functional limitations mean is the inability to walk or to talk or to reach or to push or to pull or to bend or to perform a lot of work-related functions. That's what that means, the functional limitations. And so long as that disability, as Laurie said, began before the age of 46, didn't have to be diagnosed before the age of 46, and has lasted or is expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 12 months or to result in death, then that person is ABLE eligible.
Great. Yes, thank you. Thanks for that clarification. And on the slide, in the link will could also be put in our chat, or it's certainly on the PDF file that was shared in chat. ABLE NRC has prepared a disability certification form that could be used for this purpose for a doctor to sign a statement indicating that the disability qualifies. And this is just a sample form. So someone in the registration process said, that they have a doctor signed document stating that the person is legally blind. So this particular diagnosis form or disability certificate would not be needed. If you already have a signed doctor's statement, then that should suffice. This is just an example of a form that you can use if you don't already have a signed written statement from a doctor. And then in the chat, someone had asked, how do you get documentation from an MD or a DO if the condition is normally diagnosed by another type of doctor, like a PsyD? So Lori, do you have input for that? Like how someone like you had mentioned, Lori, too, like it might be a doctor that may be new to them for this purpose. So maybe explain some ways that would help a doctor to assess if a disability qualifies.
Sure. Thanks, Jody. So, many mental health providers have a physician on staff that signs disability certifications and other documentation needed on a regular basis. So ask your counselor, your mental health professional, if they have a doctor on staff that can provide signature to the disability certification. And the IRS qualifying doctors are listed on that disability certification, so everyone can see in plain language what type of doctor can sign that disability certification. Thank you.
Great. Yes, thank you. And Marlene, do you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on that and just add one thing. On the back of disability certification form, we included the medical criteria and links actually to the listing of impairments in case a beneficiary or a medical provider wants to actually see that medical criteria. So that may be helpful to some folks.
Great, great. Thank you. And in the Q&A, Gary had asked on this slide where we're talking about the two factors, the disability began before age 46 and disability results in severe functional limitations. So it is true that both of those conditions do need to be met. So thanks for asking that and getting clarification. Let's see, in terms of other eligibility question, there is one eligibility question, but it's kind of like, would it affecting an eligibility for other programs? So I really am not sure if this is truly ABLE related or not, but this is related to a family member who now has Lewy body dementia and was wondering if an ABLE account would affect his eligibility for other state of New Jersey programs. So maybe we could just pause for a moment about eligibility and maybe just talk about how ABLE protects eligibility for some federal benefit programs. So Lori, would you like to start answering that just in terms of how ABLE serves as asset protection?
Sure. So for a person who receives SSI or is applying for SSI, they may have an ABLE account balance up to $100,000 that is not considered accountable resource for an SSI beneficiary or applicant. Any amount of ABLE savings or investment is not accountable resource for Social Security disability insurance benefits, the free application for financial aid, SNAP or food stamp benefits, HUD subsidized housing or Section 8 benefits, any type of Medicaid, including Medicaid waiver or Medicare benefits. And so, often a state will implement those programs, but those are That's legislation at the federal level that states that any amount of ABLE savings is not a countable resource for those programs. And for SSDI, that includes someone who became eligible either on their own work record or on a parent's or a spouse's record, that they now receive SSDI benefits.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And if you go to the next slide, we do have a little bit of information here for steps that you can take to become, to show you are eligible if you don't receive SSA benefits, right? So you can schedule a visit with a licensed physician. Other medical records could be helpful in this case. Your own self-reports, your family or caregiver reports could also be helpful in this case. And you can download a copy of that disability certification form to bring for the physician for review and signature. And then the last thing that we do want to share is that the signed physician statement is for your own records. It's for your own proof, to have on record and in your files as to why you qualify for ABLE. You won't have to upload that signed physician statement when you open or enroll into an ABLE account, or ABLE plan. So again, it's really to be maintained in your own records. And same with if you've received Social Security benefits, keep a copy of your benefit statement from Social Security also in your records to show that this is how you qualify or why you are eligible to have an ABLE account. So I have looked at all the registration questions that have come in about eligibility. I know we have over 50 open questions in the Q&A, but I don't believe any are still out there pending on eligibility. So before we move on to the next topic, I just want to make sure, and maybe ask Kelly if she could just take a quick look, and a second set of eyes here to make sure that we don't have any other eligibility related questions. And if not, then we will move on to our next topic.
Yeah, thank you, Jody. I just scrolled through them all. I believe we are okay. If we have missed any, I can either answer them or we can come back if we have additional time.
Okay, wonderful. All right, let's move on to the next topic. And this is comparing and selecting an ABLE plan. Again, you can go ahead if you've got topics or questions specific to this topic. Go ahead and put it in Q&A now. And in the meantime, we will get through some of the Q&A, the questions that were asked in the registration process. So if you can go to the next slide, and that can just kind of be our talking points as we go through some of them. Let me go through some of the registration questions, and then we will move to the active Q&A now. Okay, comparing plans. This person is interested in wanting to know the availability of ABLE accounts with what institutions and what states and investment options. And then they would like a list of states who administer the ABLE account, and how would someone determine what plan is best suited for their needs. So that's a lot of questions. Lori, would you be willing to start an initial response to those questions?
Sure. So you may wish to start by looking at your state of residence. So you can click on, for example, on this map, if you live in Utah, on the Utah state, and information about Utah's ABLE plan will come up for you. We have an option that you can compare, for example, 3 different ABLE plans side by side to see, for example, the difference in fees that may be charged quarterly, or if that particular ABLE plan offers a secure debit card, a prepaid debit card, check writing capability, and or ACH or automatic transfer of funds for regular bill payments from that plan. And you can explore, what features are important to you and compare that information. We also have compare by feature. And if a person submits their request for that, an Excel spreadsheet becomes available that a person can compare the information for every single ABLE plan side by side in that Excel spreadsheet. And it also includes the Medicaid payback information that each ABLE plan has provided to us to display so that a person can see whether or not their state has taken steps to protect Medicaid payback upon the death of the ABLE account owner.
Thank you, Lori. Marlene.
Thanks, Jody. I just also wanted to mention, Laurie really gave a comprehensive response to where you could find comparison tools. And with those comparison tools, though, she included links on our website to each individual state plan where a person can find what's called a disclosure document. And the disclosure document contains all of the features of that plan. If someone actually wants to read about it or see in depth specific features of that plan. So that takes you directly to that state's website to read about their plan in that disclosure document.
Great, thank you. Thanks. So as you can, as it's pointed out on this slide, there are a total of 51 active ABLE plans, and as of today's date, April of 2026, and this does include DC and Guam. Idaho was the most recent ABLE plan that became active. And there was someone that had asked a question about Wisconsin's plan. And you will see on the map, we have put a green color for all the active ABLE plans. And then on the screen, the states that don't have an active plan have a grayed out background. So you'll see Wisconsin is still grayed out, as well as North and South Dakota. I do know Wisconsin is in the process of creating and developing their state ABLE plan, but as of today's webinar date, it is not yet active. But you will also see the second bullet on the slide. It says many plans accept out-of-state residents. There's over 30 plans where residents from other states are allowed to enroll in that ABLE plan. So there are plenty of choices out there, even if you reside in a state that doesn't have an active plan, or you may reside in a state that does, and you still choose an outside ABLE plan because you like one of the features better than your own state plan. Let's see, I want to, Thomas or Scott, do you have any other, add-ons to the process for selecting a plan and things maybe you have heard from your constituents?
Yeah, Jody, I was literally just going to say that most plans do not require in-state residency, but there are a handful that do. So when I'm out on the road, I always encourage everyone to look at their home state's program first. That's going to be the best source of information and the most local source of information. But like many states, Michigan does not require state residency to participate in our program. But I encourage everyone to check their home state first.
Yeah, and I would concur with Scott on that one. In particular, there are some benefits from your state plan and being a resident of that state that you may not receive elsewhere. In particular, many states that might have a tax deduction for contributions require residency in that state in order to be able to claim that. So, always a best practice to start in the state where you reside. I can mention, just being very familiar with Wisconsin as well, that yes, even though they are working on a plan, certainly, you can go anywhere else outside of that state. And I do know that Wisconsin has one of the most unique features based on their state able law that no matter which plan that you go to, you can still take a Wisconsin state income tax deduction no matter which plan you participate in. So interesting little benefit that they gave to their residents of their state.
Yeah, great point. And pardon me if this was already mentioned or not, but it's fantastic. So I'll mention it again, if even if it was. There are like in your own state plan might have an incentive for enrollment. So besides the tax credits and deductions that Tom had mentioned, that's another thing to kind of a reason why you might want to check into your own state plan first. Um, but I encourage you and welcome you all to look at the three different comparison tools. If time permits, when we get into the advanced section, and a lot of people were asking about which plans have the Medicaid clawback in place and which don't. If we have time, we'll show you a file that you can download from our website that will give you all the features of all the available state plans for you to get those answers at any time that you may have them. I don't have any other questions that came in during the registration process about plan comparisons. So, and I'm looking through the Q&A. Kelly, can you just verify also for me that there's no other plan comparison? Well, actually, I do see someone says, can someone walk me through it about how you would make a decision, right? And I think Lori kind of had already touched upon this that there are many features that are the same across all the able plans, right? So example of some of the features are eligibility, other than the in-state residency requirement, but eligibility, how you use your funds for qualified disability expenses, the annual contribution limit, the ability to only have one ABLE account nationwide. That's all the same no matter what plan, right, that you select. Where the state plans vary could be in your investment options. Those are different from plan to plan. Some of the fees might be different from one plan to another. And then the features that Lori mentioned, like prepaid cards or debit cards or having checks through a checking account, the features that might be important to you in managing your account, that might vary. And then the last feature that I think varies pretty significantly from plan to plan is your accumulative balance limit that you're allowed to have ABLE funds saved in that account. So that accumulative balance limit really varies from 235,000 all the way up to nearly 600,000. So when you're evaluating and trying to make decisions, those are the types of features that you would have to determine. Like it wouldn't be, it's an individual decision, so not anything that any professional could really tell you because it is individualized, but you would assess which of those best meets your needs based upon your financial goals, based upon how you plan to use that ABLE account. Scott.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that there are no restrictions to rolling over from one ABLE account to another as well. We have had individuals who have left the state of Michigan program because they've either moved out of state or determined that another program better suited their needs. So, as long as you are a resident of a state that requires residency in their ABLE program, you can go to their program. So we do allow rollovers, and that includes rollovers from 529 education accounts as well.
Great. Thank you, Scott. Kelly.
Hi, I just also wanted to add that if you do have a specific state that you are interested in, typically that state will have a number or a website, and you can contact someone there and ask more detailed questions. So I don't want you to feel like this is all kind of on you to make those decisions. I would really use maybe our state comparison tool. Pick kind of the top three that you really are looking into, and then take the time to call or to contact on the website and ask those specific questions that you're looking for. I know these are big decisions, and so sometimes it is important to have that like one-on-one conversation with someone.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. Anything else for comparing or selecting a plan? I think we covered it all. So we can go to the next topic. And the next topic is on opening an account. So here I'm probably going to rely on Thomas and Scott a little bit more here on how their ABLE plans are open, or ABLE accounts are open specifically. But I will cover some of the questions that came in during registration. And then, of course, if you do have questions about opening an account, now is a good time to ask those in the Q&A box. One is, can I open an account without funds and then deposit funds later? So I don't know, Scott and Thomas, if you can answer on behalf of all the ABLE plans, but maybe if you could just talk about your specific ABLE plan. Can you open an account without having an initial contribution to it?
The answer for Michigan is yes. We do allow zero balance accounts. However, those zero balance accounts are closed after 90 days. So you do have 90 days to fund your account, but the bottom line is you can open an account and not fund it for up to 3 months.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Thomas?
And Thomas?
Yes, ours is the same. I will say though that similar to what Scott had mentioned, after the 90 days, if the account does close, I call that I do the air quotes closed. It's not officially removed from our system or anything. So that if you ever wanted to reactivate your account, you just simply call into customer service, say, here's the account that I want to add funds to. They'll make it open and available, and then you could fund the account at that point in time. And I will also mention, although it's pretty standard now, I don't think it fluctuates very much. Each individual program does have a minimum amount that needs to be put in, so you may want to check that along with your other comparisons. Usually it's around $25 or so, but it can vary from program to program.
Great, thank you. Thanks. Um, and then there are questions about, okay, walk me through the process of opening an account, or I've been trying to figure out for 6 years how to open one, or is it a hard process? So possibly on the next slide, let me just see what is there. Okay, and on the next slide after that. Okay, I'm just going to leave this one slide open as we answer some of the opening account type questions. But Scott, would you kind of maybe verbally walk
Sure.
someone through like what their experience would be from your website and the
Sure.
online enrollment, and kind of maybe some things to expect through that process would be helpful.
Yeah, appreciate that, Jody. The first thing that I like to tell people is you are going to need the same kind of information that you need to open any type of financial account, whether it's a bank account or a brokerage account or an investment account. We have to go through the same identity theft checks and money laundering checks that any other financial institution has to go through. So we are going to need a lot of demographic information: names, addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, email addresses, phone numbers. All of that type of information you're going to need to provide to open your ABLE account as well. So most people can get through the enrollment process in 10 to 15 minutes, assuming they have all of that information available to them. I encourage everyone to have that information available while you're opening the account. I have no doubt that every single one of us can rattle off our own social security number without any problems. But if you're trying to add your child's or your dependents or someone you're taking care of, you probably want to double check that. But the bottom line is the information is relatively easy to find and easy to have your hands on. But I do recommend you have that available to you when you're going through the enrollment process, just to make sure that everything is entered correctly.
Great. And Scott, can you clarify the need for a either a driver's license, a state issued ID card, or a passport? Is that is it the photo identification that is needed? Like, is it the photo that is being used? Is it uploaded, or does someone just need it to enter in either an ID number or an address? Like, maybe just explain even
Yeah.
that type
And
of
I
thing.
could explain from the National Able Alliance and from the Michigan perspective.
Correct.
As long as we are able to verify through our know your customer policies that we have who we're talking about, um, then we don't need to have that information provided to us. That being said, however, there are always situations where we may need to see a photocopy of a driver's license or a passport or a social security card, something along those lines, because there has been an error or something like that. And in those instances, we have the ability to upload documents, so you can upload it right from your computer as opposed to waiting for the mail and all that kind of information. But the bottom line is, yes, it does happen. And it's not so much the picture that we're looking for, it's to verify the information that has already been provided to us. If somebody has a transposed social security number or something along those lines, we may ask to see verification that that's the correct number.
Perfect, perfect. And Thomas, are you, able to, I don't know if the process is different for the stable accounts, but if you have any nuances that are kind of specific to your plan's enrollment, that would be good also to share.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, Jody. Ours is actually quite similar to what Scott described. We're structured such that really through the main enrollment process, as long as everything goes smoothly, no types of documentations are necessarily required at that point in time. So we don't ask for any information off of a driver's license, but certainly, as Scott mentioned, should the account need to be reviewed further because of a mismatch in information or the software behind the scene that's trying to identify them can't quite do so, then those are the moments that we would come back and ask for some supporting documentation.
Great, thank you. Thanks. So, with the exception of Maine, where you can walk into a Bangor savings bank, all of the ABLE plans have an online enrollment process. So you would link, like you would go to that state plan. We have a direct link on all of our comparison tools, but you go to the plan that you do want to open, and you will get a user, you will create a username and a password, and you get a dashboard, like a customer account dashboard, where you are entering fields of information. So you do need to know your disability type, because like that might be a common question that might be asked in the enrollment process, like how do you qualify? I think plans during enrollment would also like to know if you would qualify for the able to work provision, which means that if you're employed and certain other conditions are met, which we'll talk about a little bit further in the webinar, you might be able to contribute a higher amount than the annual contribution limit. And those state able plans would want to know that so that they don't like cut off your contributions into the account after the first 20,000 in 2026. So things like that would need to be entered. But it is pretty It's user friendly with one field progressing to the next field and entering it in. And we have heard from people who have opened accounts that it has taken as little as 10 minutes. So I think if you have the information that the dashboard or the forms in the enrollment process are asking, and you have it accessible to you and kind of right handy as you're opening the account, it really is pretty simple and doesn't take a lot of time to complete. And and I guess Thomas and Scott, maybe just clarify this too. You can start enrollment, and then if you needed to go get information, you just didn't have it available, you can then resume later and finish later. Is that correct? So Tom, I see your hand is up if you want to help answer that a little bit too.
Yes, absolutely. That is correct. Typically, at least within our system, the very first thing you do is create your username and password to the system, so that at any point that you leave off in that enrollment, you can always come back and pick it up from there. I did want to also mention that most programs, I can't say all, but I'm probably all programs do have paper applications as well. Certainly, our encouragement is to do it online if at all possible, because it's faster, it's more secure, and um, the program is intended to be managed mostly online, and so it's that way you're already where you need to be to the website you need to be and so forth. These accounts can be managed through paper forms and through, we'll just say, phone access with a customer service center, but that would be a very arduous way to do it. And so certainly paper forms are there as necessary, but certainly we would encourage people to do it electronically if they have that capability and possibility. And all these sites are ADA compliant, screen reader compliant, all of those types of things, so that and many of them have other languages as well as possibilities if there are language needs. So yeah, lots of helps there to get you through the process.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you so much for that. There are also a lot of questions coming through for opening an account as it relates to support from others, opening an account on someone else's behalf. So if we go to the prior PowerPoint slide, um, it will show, sorry about that. Um, it will show who opens the account. So Marlene, would you be able to kind of walk through this process of who can support someone to open an account, and then clarifying that their information would also be needed in the enrollment process?
Yes, thanks, Jody. Um, when opening an account, the IRS established what's called an order of priority or a hierarchy of individuals who may open that account. And at the top of the list is the adult who has capacity. And what that means is they don't have a legal guardian. So if that person, an adult, that's someone who's age 18 and over, doesn't have a legal guardian, they could either open the account on their own, or they may ask another person to open that account for them. They could appoint an eligible individual under a power of attorney. Next on the list would be a conservator or a legal guardian, and then a spouse, a parent, sibling, grandparent. And last on the list is a representative payee, and that may be an individual or an organizational representative payee appointed by the Social Security Administration. If it's this last category, the representative payee under Social Security, the account must meet all the Social Security rules of the program.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Welcome.
So we can go to the next slide, and which we already covered, and then the one after that. So ABLE contributions real quick. On the next slide, we had just a handful of questions about contributions. So I do want to share that in 2026, the annual contribution limit increased from 19,000 last year to 20,000 this year. And that amount is from all sources combined. And then An able account owner who works and who does not have contributions into an employer-sponsored plan, retirement plan, during the calendar year is also eligible to contribute more up to $15,650 or their earnings level, whichever one is less. And then you will, on the screen, we are sharing that the work contribution limits are higher in Alaska and Hawaii because the cost of living is higher there. On the next slide, we talk about who can make contributions into accounts. So obviously, the able account owner themselves can make contributions to their account. Family and friends can make contributions. Contributions can be made by direct deposit for Social Security benefits. An employer can make contributions. A 529 education plan, or on the slide it says QTP, which is qualified tuition plan, or a trust or a pooled trust can also make contributions into the ABLE account. So we had questions in registration, like if I don't have income coming in yet, could I still have an ABLE account? The answer is yes, because you can rely on other people to help you make those contributions. And maybe either Thomas or Scott, would you be willing to quickly describe any of the gifting programs that maybe your ABLE plans have to help external contributors contribute to an ABLE plan?
Yeah, the National Able Alliance utilizes a program called UGift. And with UGift, you essentially receive a code that you can share with friends and family and teachers and grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles that will provide direct access to their Able account contributions. In Michigan, it is a tax deductible contribution for Michigan residents. So it's a great way to encourage family members who have historically been told, don't give that person money because they might lose their benefits, to now they can help contribute for their qualified disability expenses. But it's called UGift in the National Able Alliance.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So go ahead, Marlene. Oh, Marlene, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
Thanks, Jody. I just wanted to mention about a trust or a pool trust, and it's just a helpful hint I want to throw out there. If someone is establishing a new trust, a special needs trust or a pool trust, they may want to ensure that written into that trust agreement is the ability to roll over funds from that trust into their ABLE account if they're ABLE eligible.
Great. Thank you. Thanks.
welcome.
And go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, I just want to add as well, our product within Vestwell supported programs is very similar to the UGift. We don't call it UGift; it's through a different provider, but similarly, where you're set up with your own gifting page that you'll have a link that can be posted through email or social media or other circumstances. We also have the ability in, at least in ours, where if the individual who's making the gift might be gifting in the future, they could create a sort of preset profile that they can always come back into. And they can also set up recurring gifts. So if they want the gifts to be made over various intervals of time rather than just one time, they could set up a recurring gift profile.
Great, great. Thank you. All right, on the next slide, you will see that we are now at a short break. It'll be 5 minutes, 29 seconds. I understand we are a little bit behind. We did say that we would kind of devote about half this session to introductory questions and half to advance. But our introductory questions answers took a little bit longer than expected. So we will speed through a little bit quicker about more of the advanced questions. A lot of questions came through about QDEs. So we will be focusing on that in just about 5 minutes from now. And I do understand there might be a little bit of an issue with ASL interpreter. We are working behind the scenes to clarify that. And if we did not get to your question and answer, and it was an introductory question that you asked, we will just type in an answer and we won't be able to answer it live just due to time limitations. So thanks so much, and we'll be back in 5 minutes.
You got dreams in your pocket, they glow. A little spark, a little fire, let them show. Every step you take, you're building more. Through every open, unlocked door. Click apply, make your play, turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care, Abel's your future, always there. The road ahead, it twists and bends, but every journey finds its ends. Hold the reins, you've got the power, this is your moment, your finest hour. Click apply, make your play, turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care, Abel's your future, always there. What you see is what you'll make, every leap is yours to take. Dreams aren't whispers, they're a shout, Abel helps you work it out. Click apply, make your play, turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care, Abel's your future, always there. You got dreams in your pocket, they glow. A little spark, a little fire, let them show. Every step you take, you're building more. Through every open, unlocked door. Click apply, make your play, turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care, Abel's your future, always there. The road ahead, it twists and bends, but every journey finds its ends. Hold the reins, you've got the power, this is your moment, your finest hour. Click apply, make your play, turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care, Abel's your future. Able helps you work it out. Click apply, make your play. Turn the page, start today. Keep the faith, build with care. Able's your future, always there.
All right. This might be a little bit earlier than the 5-minute, 29-second mark, but I think we are ready to go ahead and
You got
finish
dreams
up
in your pocket.
the last section or session regarding advanced questions. So on the next slide, there were a lot of questions that came through about qualified disability expenses. I think that was probably the area where we received the majority of our questions. So let's kind of start going through some of those. And I am going to ask Lori to help get us started with answering. And I think it's on the next slide. We can go through the categories of expenses here. What is a qualified disability expense? And as you're answering what is one, what are examples of some that are not? What would not be a QDE?
Thank you, Jody. So the IRS defined these broad categories as qualified disability expenses. So education expenses, but we urge people like to see if education could be paid for by vocational rehabilitation or the Department of Labor so that maybe the ABLE account owner doesn't need to use their ABLE account to pay for education expenses, and certainly apply like for that free application for federal student aid as well. A person can use their ABLE account to pay for basic living expenses. So purchasing food for themselves, having food delivered to their home, housing expenses. So this is a great qualified disability expense. Paying to purchase a home, for a mortgage, to save for a down payment to purchase a home, helping to pay for rent, property taxes, home modification expenses, transportation. So this can be transportation private, to pay a friend to transport you. But keep in mind, whenever you're paying for a QDE, qualified disability expense, you want to have a receipt. Should the IRS conduct an audit, that you have a receipt for everything paid for from your ABLE, and try to pay for these expenses directly from your ABLE account too, maybe with your prepaid debit card. Legal fees. So we see a lot of questions in the Q&A regarding trusts. Trusts and ABLE accounts work very well together. A person could use their ABLE account to pay for the legal fees to set up a trust. An ABLE account can pay for employment and training, assistive technology. So that could be an accessible vehicle, it could be a hearing or vision aid, but there are resources available in communities to help pay for assistive technology. And I'll put a link in the chat box for resources to help pay for those expenses. personal support services. So a person may be living now in a nursing home or in a home in their community, and maybe the type of Medicaid that the person has will pay for a certain number of hours of personal support services, but maybe the person wants additional hours. They could pay for that from their ABLE account. Healthcare, wellness, and prevention services. So, like for many people, their health insurance may not pay, like for a yoga class, but the person can use their ABLE account to pay for that type of expense. Funeral and burial expenses can be paid for from an ABLE account. So you want to call your ABLE plan and ask what steps you need to take to ensure that that ABLE plan would be able to pay for funeral and burial expenses close to that event, right? And like I said, keep receipts for all of your QDEs that you pay for directly from your ABLE account. I saw in the Q&A a question about, maybe a person had qualified disability expenses that occurred prior to opening the ABLE account. Well, now that they have an ABLE account, can they go back and pay for those QDEs retroactively? Well, it's suggested that a best practice is to pay directly for that qualified disability expense. So that makes it difficult to pay for expenses that already have taken place. I don't know if people have additional comments. Jody, I think you're on mute. Marlene
Yeah, go ahead,
and
Marlene.
Tom.
Okay, I just wanted to mention, Laurie, you mentioned receipts, and we've talked about receipts at the Able National Resource Center for so long. And just this week, we received a response from the Internal Revenue Service. We were asking, how long should people retain these receipts? Because you see different lengths of time. And what they said was at least for 3 tax seasons. That's in line with IRS rules. But also they were suggesting that perhaps people keep these receipts even a little longer for 4 to 7 years, just in case down the road the IRS or Social Security or another federal agency would like to look at those receipts for some purpose. There hasn't been any audits, but just in case, they were suggesting this longer length of time. Thanks.
Thank you. And Tom, I think you had an answer.
Yes, there is so much I could say on this topic. We could probably spend the rest of, of the time we have here. I just want to make a few points that I think are really, really important. Number one, this is the most common question that we're asked all the time in our ABLE plans. And I want to specify 2 things. Number one, there is no comprehensive magic list that you'll find anywhere that lists every possible qualified disability expense. It just doesn't exist. And what Lori just explained are kind of some general categories and guidelines that have been issued, but it's so much broader than that. And what I like to do a lot of times when I'm talking to people is to show them the breadth of this is I say, well, there's 2 real key points. One is that it needs to be used for the benefit of the individual with the disability or medical condition, right? So an example of a non-qualified one is I'm giving my money away to somebody else, right? So it's not being used for me or for my condition or my circumstance. And then number 2 is as a very broad, and this is actually stated, I believe, in the federal ABLE law. It's used to help um, maintain or improve the health, independence, or quality of life of the individual. And if you think about those terms, I mean, that can be practically about anything, as long as it's used for them and it's helping with their health or their independence or their quality of life. It can qualify. I will also mention too, and this happens in a couple of these categories, people sometimes get frustrated with us saying like, well, why can't you just give me the answer? And my response always is, if you ever have, let's say, the Internal Revenue Service or somebody come back and ask you questions about why you consider that expense qualified, you need to be able to justify or answer that question. And the answer for me can't be, well, stable account told me so, or Lori told me so, or Jody told me so, right? So we want you to think about that and keep those receipts and understand why it is that you are considering that expense qualified. And it can be so broad. I mean, to give you another example, and people think that this sounds kind of crazy, but we've seen this happen where, maybe somebody has a comfort of care animal, a pet like a dog or something like that. That's important to their quality of life. So could the expenses for that animal, food or veterinary bills or whatever, be paid for out of an ABLE account? That's for that person to determine, but I would suggest that seems reasonable to suggest that that is integral to their happiness and their quality of life. And so certainly they could consider that a qualified disability expense. So really, in its broadest sense, you can use the money for anything you want. But there are some circumstances where it may not be qualified, and there could be possibly some tax or other implications if it's not qualified. But those are very small and slim and in between. Just remember, use it on yourself or the individual with the disability for their benefit, and use it to help, you know, maintain or improve their health, independence, or quality of life.
Yes, thank you. Scott?
Yeah, I would echo what Thomas just said. What I tell people, and when we are counseling people who are open ABLE accounts, if the service that you're procuring or the product that you're buying is one of these things, education, transportation, housing, healthcare, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yes. Yep. And I think so a lot of questions they want a deeper dive, right? So like if we say basic living expenses, which include food, then people want the deeper dive. Okay, what about a restaurant meal? What about groceries? What about fast food? The IRS doesn't necessarily give a deeper dive to these categories. So if they say food, it's food. They
It's
don't
food,
list the type of food that must
right?
be included or not. And kind of same with transportation, right? It's open-ended. It's any transportation expense. It doesn't say it has to be a vehicle, which means it could be airfare or train
Or an
or
Uber.
Uber, shared ride service,
Yeah.
right? So these categories are pretty much all encompassing. They are intended to be broadly defined or just broad categories to help the account owner assess, okay, is it one of these? Um, and I will say, and so Thomas and Scott, you can share what your response is. Probably one of a gray area are vacations. So we talked about transportation might be covered. We talked about housing is covered, but there is no vacation category per se. But again, there's overall definitions, anything that improves the independence, the health, the overall quality of life. But vacations are a gray area. And so I think everyone has a different opinion on guidance of vacations. So I will just share Able NRC's guidance that we typically give. Sometimes vacations are pretty apparent that it could be related to a disability, like a wellness retreat or a special needs summer camp for a child. Those to me seem pretty clearly indicated that yes, it is a qualified disability expense. Some of the other vacations may not be. And so we just say, if you are unsure as the ABLE account owner or the authorized legal representative, if it is an expense or not, we say err on the side of caution and use other funds other than your ABLE funds. Um, but Thomas and Scott, I don't know if you have other guidance with vacation and maybe what you tell your customers when that question comes up.
Yeah, that is probably the number one question that I get. Can I use my ABLE account to go on vacation? Well, and I give almost identically a qualified answer. Getting to where you're going, whether that's Cancun, Hawaii, Florida, wherever, that is a transportation expense, and that is an allowable QDE. And at least from Michigan, if you're going all the way to Cancun, you're going to stay there for more than one day. So you're going to have to pay for a condo or an Airbnb or a hotel. And that is a housing expense. And that is an allowable expense out of an ABLE account as well. So the answer is a qualified, yes, you can use it to go on vacation, assuming you are paying for these categories of qualified disability expenses. So, but again, like Thomas mentioned, it's for the person with the disability only. You can't pay for everybody's flight with your ABLE account. You can only pay for that person who owns the account. But yeah, very similar talking points, I assume, for all the ABLE programs regarding QDEs on vacations.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I know time is so short, so I know we do have to move on to another topic, but just real quick, Thomas or Scott, can you um, give a short explanation? How would someone use their fund to pay for a QDE? Like, what's the process of, like, the logistics of, okay, I want to pay for a QDE. How do I do it? People are asking, do I use my prepaid card? Do I write a check? Like how is that done?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and address that one. And certainly the broadest answer is going to be check with the plan that you're researching or that you're involved with, because some of these features can be slightly different. But generally speaking, I think all plans have the ability to move money between an ABLE account and some other type of financial account, maybe a personal checking account or a personal savings account, and money can be moved back and forth between those two. I will say by way of documentation, that is the method of withdrawal that has the least amount of documentation. So you certainly want, there would be more of a requirement there to keep track of those funds and how you're spending them and how they're being used. Many plans have some type of check writing feature, whether that's an actual checkbook that can be obtained and used, or a feature within the platform in which you can have a check sent from, the institution directly somewhere where you want it sent. And then many have prepaid/debit cards, and those can even functionally different, right? Some of them need to be loaded with funds first before they can use. Other ones may have the card attached to an account that has funds in it that can be used like a traditional debit card. So those are primarily the three ways in which you would spend out of your account. But I will say it's kind of a nuance, but it's important to understand that even if you take money out of your ABLE account and put it into, like, let's say, a loadable prepaid card or into a personal account, that is still protected as if it's in that ABLE account up until the time that it's spent. So, again, tracking documentation, all of those things are really, really important. But that's the three primary ways in which you would do it. And certainly, again, go to the ABLE National Resource Center. Their comparison tools should be able to elaborate on which programs have which types of features.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving on. We will go on to the next topic. And we have account management. And so let's move through one more. Managing an account, automating. We already talked about receipts. You review your ABLE statements monthly. You can use your online dashboard and your account to be able to do that. There were a couple of questions about automating payments. One was automating a payment onto I don't know if it said an ABLE card. I don't know if that means a debit card or a prepaid card, but um, do you, Thomas or Scott, have any guidance for that? It says, I'm trying to find the question
Yeah.
again. Um, can you automate payments to go to ABLE cards?
Yes. So I'll address that one. And
Okay.
again, in the broadest sense, go to the program that you're working with. I'll probably say that in a lot of these answers, right? So speaking directly from our program, and then maybe Scott can address the ABLE Alliance and their groups. With ours, currently that particular feature is unavailable, yet it's supposed to be released literally within days. So I don't want to break any news on this webinar and say that it's available there, but it's being actively worked on so that once this is released, and it could even be released, I need to check with our our program administrator or program manager, Vestwell. But once that's released, then yes, you will be able to set up recurring withdrawals from your account, either via check to an attached checking or savings account or to the prepaid card that at least our program offers. We have a loadable card within our program and payments. I think the interval is going to be on a monthly basis that you can automate it so that funds will come out on a routine basis from the account to the card. So I'd like to say that for us, that is available right this second, and it very well could be, but here within short order, it should be.
Great. Thank you. Thanks so much, Scott.
The National Able Alliance does offer a checking account, which functions just like any other checking account. So you can set up recurring withdrawals out of that checking account, so that you could do things like rent payments and car payments and insurance payments and anything like that, that are qualified disability expenses right from the Able account. So yes, the answer is yes, you can.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And, we are really getting close to time. There were a lot of questions about what happens to the ABLE funds when the account owner passes away. So I think in the interest of time, and I know there's so many questions we haven't gotten to answer live, but we will answer your questions. It might be outside of the webinar. It could be a privately typed answer. So we can get to you unless you raised your question anonymously. And if that is the case, we have no way of getting back to you. But we will do our best to answer your questions individually if we didn't get to them live. But let's go ahead and answer that question. What happens to the funds? So, Scott, do you want to start this answer first?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot, because if QDE is the number one question, this is the number two. What happens when the account owner passes away? And to paraphrase Tom, it depends on which state you're in. It's not even dependent upon which program you're in. It's dependent upon which state you live in. But the federal legislation does allow state Medicaid plans to claw back, that's their word, any money left in an ABLE account when the account owner passes away. That's the way the federal statute is written. However, a number of states have either declined to claw back that money to their Medicaid program, or have created legislation to reduce or even eliminate that clawback. So it varies by state. Each state Medicaid office sets their own policies for what they do, and you'd have to contact the individual programs that you're interested in order to verify how that particular state handles it. So again, I can tell you what Michigan does, but that may not be the answer that you're looking for. It depends on the state where the ABLE program takes place. A lot of the state ABLE programs are administered by the Departments of Treasury, Department of Revenue, Department of Taxation, those kinds of things, which is completely separate from the Department of, say, Health and Human Services, or whatever department administers the Medicaid office. So it really depends. Can't give you a yes or no answer.
Yes, and Tom.
Yeah, I'll agree with Scott. This is a very concerning question for a lot of people, and one of our most commonly asked questions. I will mention that within the federal statute, before Medicaid can come back and look at the account, there are some provisions there to understand. So there are things like if there's any outstanding qualified disability expenses that still existed before the person passed away, those can be paid for. Funeral expenses, burial expenses, all of those funds from that account can be used to pay for those things prior to Medicaid coming back. And of course, when we say Medicaid clawback, that is assuming the person had Medicaid services. If the person didn't have Medicaid services, then that's not even a question. But if they did, the other thing too to also understand is that clawback only happens from the point in time services that were received from the time that the person opened their account to the time that they passed away. This is not a lifetime look back, but only a look back over the period of time in which the person had an account open. I had a very unique case in our program where the person opened an account, passed away a month later. There wasn't even really any Medicaid services provided within that period of time. And so that aspect or part of it didn't matter. But certainly, as Scott had mentioned, I think it's almost closing in on about half the states that have now exempted recovery from them. Certainly, again, those are things you can find out on the Able National Resource Center's comparison site. And then, frankly, after that, after that's done, or after Medicaid recovers, if there's still funds left, it just falls to the probate laws of your state and following what the distribution rules are there.
Great, great. Thank you. Thanks. I'm glad we at least got to that. And I know there's so many more questions about investing and investments, and I was really hoping we would get to that today. That is really an important topic, and it's so wonderful to see people inquiring and asking, because people with disabilities do belong in the investment space. And we will be having a webinar later this calendar year that will focus on investing and some strategies and just more information. But in the meantime, we will answer your individual questions. And so with that, I'm going to just move on real quickly to the resource slides. And I'm not really going to cover the resources, but I just want you to know that when you get the PDF, which I believe was placed in the chat, but our materials will be available on our website afterwards. And these are the types of resources that you can see on our website in the meantime while you're waiting for the recording to come up, which is usually about 2 weeks from the date of the event. We have stories from our ABLE ambassadors who are ABLE account owners and their families. And then on this slide, we're explaining the types of resources that you can find on our site. And first on the list is ABLE frequently asked questions. So we have a lot of these questions that you raised today on our website with answers. So I encourage you to go there. And then the recording will also include a transcript. So someone in the chat had mentioned, hey, it would be nice to have all these questions and answers in one place. We do have them pretty much on our website, but it will also be in the transcript itself on the webinar recording. We've got other resources, newsletters, and information flyers, our state plan comparison tools that we talked a lot about today, home ownership guides, home inheritance guides. We have toolkits on the next slide, or decision guides, and here's some examples of different types of topics, and then toolkits are listed. And on the next slide, some NDI resources specifically. And on the next slide, I'll just share to remain connected with us. Please share information about ABLE accounts with your friends, family, and community groups. Subscribe to receive our Achievable newsletter and receive other important ABLE updates. And connect with us. We have switched our social media account to @National Disability Institute. So if you were following ABLE NRC, please follow National Disability Institute on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And ABLE NRC does have a YouTube channel, and we will have a station on NDI's YouTube channel as well. So with that, I want to thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your interest in learning more about ABLE. And until we connect again, I wish you a healthy financial journey. Thank you. Bye, everyone.